So now there is a fundamental change in college sports right now. With the most recent judgment on the settlement with the NCAA, all the power conferences, and the House, it appears that now there is a path to pay to play era. So the players will be getting paid. They get an allocation. So we're going to dive into that. But the bigger question is, how does that affect Oklahoma? How does that affect the SEC? How does that affect college football in general? Let's dive into the notes. Let's dive into the details and talk about what this means. So make sure you stick around because I'll make sure to wrap up and let you all know how this really does affect the SEC, Oklahoma, and the college football side. But before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. All right, let's start off with this. It was ruled right now, it's in the place, that the NCAA and the House have all settled on a agreement that the NCAA will pay $2.7 billion in back pay towards former players all the way back to 2016 in covering them playing college sports and deserving to be compensated for it. From there, in order to keep lawsuits from continuously boiling up, the NCAA has agreed that there will be a 22% share or allocation of the revenue that comes in, roughly about $20 million, that each school can pay out to their players playing collegiate sports. Now, there's a lot of people that's hearing this. A lot of people are going to be upset. I'm just going to tell you this really quick. We'll start this off with this point. I am 100% pro paying the players because, like you all, it's free market capitalism, and free market capitalists, you deserve your fair market value. And the NCAA is making billions and coaches are making hundreds of millions on these contracts. Kids deserve to pay. End of rant. But the players now will have that chance, and these schools will too. Now, you may be asking, Jay, how did they get to this $20 million number? Well, that number is an average of all of the revenue as far as the TV deals come in around the power conferences. And so that 22% is about $20 million that's going to be allocated. So that's going to go to all sports at the collegiate level. Now, let's talk about the details behind this. Like I said, what this means for us going forward. So the schools will have the ability to pay players. And there's going to probably be some sort of contracts put in place. Now, let me also add this. This ain't over. This is just the first step. This most likely will not go into effect until about 25, 26. That's where that back pay settlement piece comes into play. Because of the many lawsuits that's going on right now and antitrust lawsuits, the NCAA will guarantee lose. We're looking at footing about $20 billion in bills, which would most likely bankrupt the NCAA because even though they have these massive $2 billion deals per year coming in, they ain't gonna be able to cover $20 billion in a timely manner. Let's put it that way. So now the NCAA had to come to this agreement just to kind of save face and at the same time find a way to get us a sustainable system. The paying the players a portion of TV revs is a sustainable thing. The money's there. It's just the people at the top won't be paid as much. Sorry, rich people can't continue to be rich. You don't have my sympathies. But the players now, that allocation is going to go through with all sports. Now, there's a lot of fear in how this is going to work out. There's a lot of, like I said, details that still haven't been ironed out, but I'm telling you, this isn't done because you're going to get to the point where some of the things you all wanted, right? You got players that can come and go as far as the transfer portal goes. You've got NIL pieces that come into play. A lot of you want players to get contracts and have to abide by those contracts, even though we don't force that on coaches, right? There will be those. There will be contracts. And I anticipate when those contracts happen because the adults in the room that are manning this, not the players, it's the adults, the grown-ups that are putting all this stuff together, they're going to make sure that there are like buyout clauses and stuff like that when it comes to their contracts. And I also saw a provision that was in there that was listed not too long ago in the listing around this settlement that schools will have the capabilities to purchase the exclusive rights to the NIL rights to a player, which is going to be huge and landmark for the ability to kind of keep your players in place But again, if the school's going to be willing to pay more for your kid, can't do anything about that. But the good thing is because if this is a $20 million allocation to everybody, this is about what everybody's going to be able to pay, it's going to be really hard to poach players because just about everybody's getting paid the same. Now, the other thing to keep in note is that NIL ain't going nowhere. Name, image, and likeness has nothing to do with pay the players. Name, image, and likeness is selling your name, image, and likeness to be put on like pizza boxes and do commercials and do charity events, autograph signings, etc. That's not going anywhere. So you're still going to have to figure out what's going on with the collectives. I anticipate legislation coming out to help with that portion of it because all it is boosters throwing a whole bunch of money in there and then fan-funded, campaigns to be able to buy the best players out there in college football. That's where I ask the question, how does this affect Oklahoma? How does this affect the SEC teams and college football in general? And this is what I've come up with, my personal opinion. The way Oklahoma runs things, especially with their NIL collective and everything, you've heard Brent Venables talk about this. He talked about how for them, their goal is to make sure everybody eats in the room, right? And honestly, that's a testament to just college life in general, right? If you've ever been a broke college student, you understand, especially if you go from, I'd say, the 80s forward, being a broke college student, there was a lot of helping each other out. There was a lot of villageness when it came to being in college. I remember having those broke days of only having the ramen noodles to eat and a friend not having any until they got paid at the end of the week. And, we all shared what we had. We shared the wealth. We took care of each other. And you see a lot of that too with a lot of these players in the NIL era, where you see some players finding ways to help their teammates get NIL deals, the ones that won't be as recognized, right? They find ways to get them a little something. They're not going to get as high as your higher, marketable players or the more, necessity positions, defensive line, offensive line, and quarterback, right? But you're seeing players do things to take care of each other. So for those that have the fear that the locker room is going to be so divided because people are getting paid more than others, this is the same model that's been going on in the NFL for years. Grown men, they can understand that some people are worth more than others, talent-wise. They get that. They're not dumb, right? They get that portion of it. But Oklahoma has been doing this from the beginning with their NIL piece is they've been taking care of every player. They've been finding ways to make sure everybody gets something. Maybe not the same amount, but they make sure everybody's getting something in which you can tell there's an appreciation and a family value there, right? If you're making a bunch in your household and you and your family members are struggling and you want to, and you can find ways to help them, especially if they're family members that you care about deeply, you're going to take care of them, right? That's the family environment you see at Oklahoma. And that's the funny thing is you hear that from recruits too. They notice how family oriented all of this is. And they recognize that that's what Oklahoma is really preaching. They're preaching the word and they're actually walking the walk that they're talking, right? You cannot beat that. Now, so I sense that with Oklahoma in all of this, it's not going to really change much of their approach, right? It's going to actually make things even easier for them, right? It's going to be hard to tamper and take away players and offer them triple what they're already making, even though in a lot of situations, contrary to popular belief, we were offering more than some of the schools and they just decided they still want to go. It's going to show you that you're going to find the guys that character-wise that you want here. The ones that you all say that you want as fans. You're going to get that. SEC-wise, I kind of sense that for SEC and college football, they're going to break off. That they're going to create a new league and everything's going to change. Fundamental changes are going to continue to evolve over the next 2 years. This is going to be a ride. It's going to be turbulence. So just brace yourself. Hold on to your hats. It's going to be a fun one. But I think that if anything, Oklahoma is going to continue to benefit because Oklahoma has done the right thing about taking care of their players, making sure everybody is eating and finding ways to even focus on the development piece as a man and as a potential pro, helping them get to the point that they want to go to. So, want to drop that? Hop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. How y'all feeling about the changes in college football? I know a lot of y'all, some of y'all gonna be mad. Some of y'all won't be. Some will be excited. Some gonna be mad. Some gonna be in the middle. It is what it is. That's life. We're not supposed to agree on everything. So that's why we can have these discussions. So that's why I put it up here. If you made it this far, you like the content, please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Love for y'all to join this family of college football fans, talking OU football, college football, and SEC football, having a blast doing it. So you'll see more videos coming down the line. I hope y'all have a great weekend. Pull up And we will talk more details on this as they come down the line very soon. Peace.